Hey, everybody, it's your girl, off the Doc B in the building. And guess what? We have a special treat for you tonight. You all know me, the therapist, the doctor, the motivational speaker, the talk show host, the podcast host. You all know exactly who I am. And tonight, I'm telling you now, it's going to blow your mind. So please click, like, and share. Last time you guys did real good last week. I think we got up to like 500 and something votes. So I am going to just invite some other people in right now, and then I'm going to bring on our special guest tonight. I do believe that I mentioned to you all last week that every week until the whole month, I believe it was the whole month of um, April, that we will have Tuesday nights at 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, that's at 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We will have our elect coming up. We have our candidate elect. So we're going to see what this is about tonight. Let's just bring them in right now. You all know him. Here he is. I don't know. How you doing today, Mr. Paul?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back on.
And you know me, I'm stumbling over my words tonight because I get so super. I'm like, wait a minute, we're gonna have the elect coming on, and I'm all jacked
candidate.
up.
Soon to be, you could say, but candidate.
Right. I like candidate better than elect. I like candidate better, but we will elect you. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna click that button. We're gonna click that button, and we're gonna get Paul Prescod in office and get Anthony Williams out of here. Too long.
Right.
Too long. Prove yourself. Somebody saying hi to us already. Hello. And so I'm gonna ask everybody to click, like, and share. Paul's gonna tell us a little bit about who he is. Then he's gonna tell us about his special guest that's coming on. I did formulate some questions about.
I know you do your research, so
about some of the things that you have been doing lately, But I mean, you can tell us about those things. I've seen. Oh gosh, I think I stole a picture where you had the big bullhorn out. Were you with the?
Right.
And I put it on like like a flyer to let everybody know that he's out there in those streets, and tonight he's going to be with author Doc B on Bring It to the Table.
That's
and
right.
He's going to be
dropping. And that picture was actually at a rally of the Teamsters. So
See?
There you go.
He's out there hitting them streets. We talking about boots on the ground. That's Paul Prescod. You might want to vote for him over there in that 8th district, okay? So just tell everybody who you are, what you are about, and things of that nature.
Yeah, sure. I'll go way back. And I might have mentioned some of this on the last time I came on last week, but I'm the son of an immigrant from Barbados. My father is from Barbados. What we're famous for is that's where Rihanna is from. And so I spent a lot of time there growing up, was heavily influenced by that side of the family. I had or still have uncles that were very involved in the Barbados Labor Party, involved as labor union activists. So that was a big thing that rubbed off on me growing up. But my father came to this country, to Philadelphia, around the 1970s. He became a public school music teacher. That's why he came to this country, was to play music. So, he had a big influence on me growing up. But, I'm a former public school teacher. This year, I'm taking the year off to campaign. I used to teach high school social studies for the most part. And that was a big motivator for why I'm doing what I'm doing now. The disinvestment in the public school system is really just really reaching a crisis point. I mean, it's been there for a while, but it's really going over the edge now, and we really need to save our schools. And this is investment that we need to make at the state level. I mean, right now, essentially, our kids are getting abandoned. These schools that are like buildings 80 years old, that have lead and mold and asbestos in them. Class sizes are getting up to like 35, 40 kids in a classroom. We've had situations, back during Governor Corbett years, I know I'm going back a little while now, during school budget cuts, they cut nurses from the schools.
Schools.
And we had children, who died during the school day because of not having a full-time nurse on duty. Counselors that are overworked, overloaded. So really, it's a crisis point. And if you think there's not a connection between that and the gun violence we're seeing, then you should think again, because think about it. People leaving school without much of an education, without prospects for the future. They're also like cutting trade programs in the schools at the same time as well. So people are leaving without many options. And I think the more we're seeing disinvestment from our schools, among other places, the worse you're seeing the gun violence get. And if you notice, the gun violence is getting worse in terms of younger and younger people.
Yes, it is. It was like 19 in the last couple of days. The other day, I forget what day it was. It was 19 shootings in one 24 hours.
And you realize both the victims and the perpetrators becoming younger. Like we're seeing now, it's like 13-year-old, 14-year-olds with guns involved in shootings. So there's a deep connection there, I think, with the schools and the situation of disinvestment. It
certainly is. I totally agree with you, Paul. And along with substance use, parenting, absent parents, and all these other things that's going on, poverty and everything's going up, and like all that type of stuff. And I know you stand for all of that, the increase in jobs and the increase in mental health services and substance abuse services. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, if you was here last week and it's still on our timelines, you can go back and look at it. And he spoke highly about taking care of that community. Okay, so this ain't a joke here. Him just running for that 8th district as the representative, and what the state representative. Now, not to be confused about because I always get this wrong.
Not the U.S. House, but and actually I'm running for
there you go,
state senate, because we have state reps and state senators. So I'm running for the state senate seat.
That's local, and so that would be more local, not national, like on the big go to DC, all that type of stuff.
Right.
This is really local, and that's okay because you're gonna win, and that's it. And I'm determined to help you. Y'all don't get mad at Doc B because she done found a friend or believe in the cause or whatever the case may be. One of the things that I'm really good at is setting a boundary and taking my stance in society. And I say endorsements. We need to support Paul Prescod. I like to say that word, endorsements. You should know that from last time. That's my favorite word.
we have a lot of them, so that's good.
Yes, and it's so good to see you tonight. And so, your brother got married?
He did, yes.
I saw a picture, but I saw that. I said, "Wait a minute," because I'll be all over your stuff. I'll be in your personal life.
Right, and that was a picture of me and my partner. But yeah, we didn't get married.
I said he didn't say, "What's going on?" Did you see my comment at first? I was like, "Wow, you didn't even tell me."
Right, yeah. The caption said it all. But yeah, my brother got married. So
that's good. And so I noticed the cultural difference in you and your partner.
Oh well, she's she has Caribbean heritage too. So my father's from Barbados. Her family background's from Trinidad. So she's also a social worker.
Nice. So we don't want to hear all of that stuff about this racist stuff and he's white and she's this and all this, that, and the third. No, because I'm the girl to bring it to the table. Right. That's the name of this show, Bring It to the Table. And we're going to address some stuff because people always want to talk about the cultural difference. Ain't nobody got time to be seeing no color these days. The blacks are shooting the blacks. Ain't nobody talking about that. But Paul Prescod is coming. Paul Prescod said, "I don't care who it is. We're gonna help them. We're gonna help put an end to this, slow it down, or do something."
Right. And I'm from a multiracial.
Glad you got a chocolate drop. I'm glad you got yourself a chocolate drop. That's what we call a chocolate drop.
My background is I'm multiracial. For if people are wondering, my father is black. He's from Barbados. My mother's white.
Nice.
A lot of people look at me and think I'm Cuban or something, but
Well, I told you last week I didn't know what you was. I just had to ask. I
Right.
want to get all up in there. So because what's important is that the people know who they are gonna pull that trigger
Right.
for. When they go and close them curtains, it's only gonna be them in there by themselves, and they're gonna have to remember who the hell Paul Prescod is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the one that brought it to the table. First of all, listen, we got to just rip it all down. We got to take it, all of their negative thoughts or anything that they would think of when they would go. How about what I thought of when I went in there about who I'm going to push it for? You see? And that's where all of this passion and this energy is fueling from. I'll never forget, a lot of times people go in there and they don't even know the person that they voting for. They just go, oh, well, Democrat, because Republicans did this, that, and the third. So Democrat. And they don't even know the people.
Right.
And so we want to prevent that. Somebody wrote, our community needs to be revamped. It's going down in the comments. Well, look at all these comments we got. Can you see the comments too?
Yep, I can see them.
They're saying, awesome, good evening. Yes, it's terrible out there and things of that nature. So thank y'all so much for coming in. Please click like and share. And as you notice, the way that this has been working, and what I've noticed since I started using this particular type of platform that stream on all of them at one time, because I used to have a producer. He would come to the studio, come to my house, where I work in my office, and then he would film everything, and then I would just upload. But this is more feasible now that things are going up. It's way more feasible, and it's easier and things of that nature. So what I've noticed is that once we get off, and people can still view it and comment and click it and share it, and then we got up to like 500 and something. I was like, whoa, this is huge.
Right.
This is huge. So I thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you on Bring It to the Table with your girl Author Doc B in the building. And she brought her friend Paul Prescod tonight, and he brought a friend too. You want to tell us about that friend?
Yeah, so I'm excited to introduce one of my supporters. This man I've known for a while, and I mean, we talked about, I think it says a lot about what kind of people are supporting a candidate. So Richard Hooker is a president of Teamsters Local 623. So when you all see UPS trucks out there every day delivering packages, those workers are in the Teamsters Union. He represents the union representing those workers. Also, some workers at the Greyhound bus station are also in this union. So we go back, I don't even know how many years now, for a while now. We first met through me supporting his efforts for, good jobs, fair wages for these workers. This is long before I was running for office. It was also long before he was even in this position of president in his union. So we go back a long way, and I think he's someone that understands, like, I'm not just saying these things now that there's an election. This is stuff I've been doing for a long time. If Rich is here, I don't know. Is he already here? Is he ready to come in?
Yes, he is. I'm about to bring him in. We got the brother man in the building. He about to come on now. I'm bringing him on right now. Come on in, Mr. Richard. There you go. Mr. Richard is in the building.
How y'all doing?
Hi, Mr. Richard. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm trying to see like which one looks better. If I look better in the middle, and like trying to hook it up and all this.
Oh, there we go.
It says, hold on, let me see. Oh, I like that one.
Right. Equality. There we go.
Richard in the middle. Richard, you in the middle today. Tag you in.
Okay. All right.
How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for electing to come on Bring It to the Table.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very much welcome. And so now I want to know, I just have to say this. Why are you so in love with Paul? Because I can tell you why I fell in love with him. You tell me why you love him so much.
He's a worker. And the workers, we run this country, and I think we've seen that over the past 2 years. The dependency on the workforce, not the CEOs, not the big businesses. It's all been about the worker these past 2 years. And I think America and the rest of the world have seen that, without the workers, everything crumbles, everything fails.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Paul is. He's a worker. So that's why him and I, we connected. We connected, like you said earlier, on the picket line when we was fighting for better wages, better working conditions. He's always been there for us. So again, to me, you know, foremost, he's as a worker before anything else. When I see
Yeah,
him, I see he's a worker.
yeah. He's definitely boots on the ground.
Yeah,
That's one of my
absolutely.
saying for people that's in communities, knocking at doors, hanging up flyers, talking to people in the community, like real hands-on experience. Every time I turn on the social media or every time I look in the newspaper or something, he's always interacting with other people. Now, don't get me wrong about his what's the word, Paul? Constituents. Yeah. Don't get me wrong about that one. But the bottom line is that is the huge difference. I need to point that out to the audience. That is the huge difference. And I even know that recently that he was invited to something and he declined. And it had to do with gun violence. Well, guess who accepted?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
Paul Prescod accepted. He will be on the front lines at Philly Tuesday marching right with the people in the community for the cause. Stop the violence. Come on, let's come to a truce. Thank you so much for accepting that. So I agree with you, Richard. So I have known him to his to turn down any invitation that I have extended to him as of yet. I'm talking about not one. As far as helping the community and these small businesses. And that's what they fall head over heels about, Paul.
And I'll say something here too, and this is something I said before running and I say it a lot now because I get this a lot and it's very understandable. People saying like, Richard says it too, he hates politics. I hate politics. I hate politicians. Why should I trust you? How are you going to be different? And that's a very, very good question. And one thing I always say is I think the most important thing to ask about a candidate is what were they doing before they were running for office, before they were trying to get elected. Because even a lot of stuff I'm doing now, I mean, frankly, a lot of candidates will do that stuff during election season. But I think, if you look at my record, this is stuff I've been doing, years and years before. And I think that
days, way back before your Temple days.
Right, way back to the Temple, and that was where I first started. Was my freshman year at Temple, going back to 2009 when nurses went on strike, supporting those picket lines. So I think that shows you, this is before I ever had any kind of dream of running for office. I think that's what you really should look at for candidates. What were they doing, before trying to get elected, and that will tell you what they're really about.
Yeah, that's right. And so, Richard, do you have anything that you are looking forward to this election? The election is when May 17th.
17th. Yeah, I'm just looking for everybody to come out and make sure they vote for Paul Prescod, 8th District. It's really that simple. I mean, we can go back and forth, and like Paul said, I don't like politics, but unfortunately, my position is very, very political. I'm starting to find it out the hard way. But just to kind of give you a overview of why this is very, very important, is because to me, there's two things that's very, very important: education and labor.
Yeah.
And he kind of has both of them locked down. He's a teacher. And he is a union activist.
Yes.
So, and to me, this is a personal and a professional situation. Personal because I have little girls, and we all seen what happened with Ketanji Brown Jackson and her, confirmation hearing. So educated and all these kinds of things, and they tried to drag her through the ringer. Now, with all the education, all her qualifications, they still try to do that. And then, and if you look at our level, we have someone who wants to privatize education and take away from education. To me, as a father, we need to make sure that, especially in neighborhoods of people of color, we have to make sure that they are taken care of when it comes to education. And on the other side, jobs. If you can't get the proper education, nor can you get a good job, what's going to happen?
Yeah, because
Our
the high
kids are
school
our future.
ain't enough. High school
Right.
diploma is not enough today.
Right.
Not enough today.
So if you get a good union job, you can make it. And I know that's what Paul stands behind. He's a union teacher. He's been with us on many, many, many strike lines, picket lines, and the Kellogg strike line, the UAW strike line. You
Woo!
know, I mean, everywhere I turn around, he's always been there for us. And I don't, and I'm not saying that because it's a cliche. Every time there's a fight for working class people, this brother has always been there. And to me, if he's doing that now at this level, what's going to happen when he's a state senator? I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. I know he's going to get there. We're going to help him. Doc B, myself, and the other labor leaders, man, we're going to help to get this brother there because we need to, and we
Absolutely.
have to. We have to.
Absolutely. We do. We do. And so you talked about the education and workers, right? So let's elaborate on that just a little bit more, if you will, because I know that when I was coming up, you could pretty much have a high school diploma and be all right back then.
Mhm.
Now we're talking about increase in wages at McDonald's to $15 an hour. This is what we see happening today, you know. So
Mhm.
what would you recommend in terms of the high school children that are graduating? Because you said if they just had a union job, how would they go about getting that union job? Watch this trick to the question without a Paul Prescod. You see? So my thing is, this is the reason why we need a Paul Prescod.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
see?
Yep.
That's a
I
whole
agree.
that's a whole tongue twister there. Like without Paul advocating for unions to, number one, stay a union and stay
Mhm.
open and up and running, right? And be in position for when those children graduate high school and put those applications in, right? That they will be accepted into a good paying union job so that they can now work towards helping in communities to fight other things that are going on in the city of Philadelphia. You want to speak to
Absolutely.
that, Paul?
Oh, you want me to go?
If you like to jump in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's kind of two things I'm thinking about. One of them, I mean, think about what's happening to higher education. It's just becoming way too expensive. I mean, I'll probably be in debt the rest of my life for the education that I got. So one thing that needs to happen is lowering tuition dramatically for especially state universities. I mean, even community college. The state. The original arrangement, a lot of people don't know this, was the state was supposed to provide a third of the funding, at least, for community colleges in Philadelphia. And the state right now is way undershooting that. So then what happens is the burden now is falling more and more on students. So, on the one hand, we have to lower education costs, period. But also, again, we got to provide pathways for kids who
Yeah.
maybe they don't want to go to college or right now it's too expensive. Again, like you said, whereas in the past, you could at least say, well, maybe if I get a good union job, I'll be good. And again, frankly, right now, it's funny. One day when I learned how much SEPTA workers make and make that without a college degree, I was looking like, damn, maybe I
Oh,
got no choice. And I think
oh,
about teacher salary and the student loans. I'm like, they're actually better off than I am, and as I mean, they should be well off. So
Mhm.
anyway, we got to create those pathways, and again, this is what the tragedy of what's happening with the schools is, not just cutting generally, but career technical education programs are being cut. Again, these were the pathways for if a kid said, yeah, college is really not for me, but I work well with my hands. I'll go into an apprenticeship. They're even cutting that off. And again, this to me feels like a setup. I mean, we hear about the school to prison pipeline, but it's like cutting off every avenues, every opportunity for kids, and they
yeah.
graduate. And I mean, what do we really expect is going to happen. So, and also I think fighting for the current jobs. I mean, I use a great example of why I think this matters, even relating to the Teamsters. A new Amazon warehouse is coming to Southwest Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
And, we're hearing now in the news, the Amazon workers are trying to unionize. And, a lot of politicians will brag about, well, look at me, I brought jobs to the district. But we know what Amazon jobs are like. And their business model is literally, let's try to run through workers in like 3 months. And hopefully they quit and get new ones. So these are not long-time, lifelong jobs, like, for example, maybe a SEPTA job. So, being someone having an elected official that's going to be clearly standing on the side and saying, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you workers unionize, using my platform, my resources, going that extra mile, that actually could make a really big difference. And that's something I would be excited to work on. And then, UPS also has a contract fight coming up. And again, elected officials have some leverage. You have you have a platform that a lot of people don't. And it's all about how you actually use that. And it's not just about using that in Harrisburg to vote on bills. That's important, but it's also about what is all this other stuff going on in your district.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I like that. Would you like to speak to any of that, Richard?
Yeah, listen, I agree. We do need politicians at every level that's going to help, unions, because labor unions are the vanguard of the working class. One of my guys that I talk to a lot, he said we are the military ring of the working class, and you're going to have strong support. Somebody like a Paul Prescod who understands unions because he's in one, also understands education because he's a teacher. And so I think that's what we need. Everything he just said, I agree with. I mean, unions again are the vanguard of the working class. We protect the working class. We protect the middle class. We protect working families. We protect the communities that don't have a lot of these other things that other communities have. It's a lot different to be able to be a African American or a person of color, and you can go to a job like a UPS or a SEPTA, and you can provide not only for your family, but you can also provide for your community. You know what I mean? Just because you have a union job, and things like the PRO Act and other things like that need to be passed, and that's why you got to have strong support in these state houses, city hall, Congress, whatever.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, it starts locally. And come May 17th, everybody needs to vote for this brother here. It's just as the bottom line.
Absolutely, absolutely, because change is good. And I really like how he's kind of like calling him out. You just got to prove yourself, Mr. Williams, because you just been handed down the job. Like, the gig is up. The gig is up. This is it. The gig is up. You can put that on the poster too, Paul. Remember that Doc B
I gotta hire you on staff.
Doc B told you that the gig is up. Okay. And it just has to be, because change is good. Change is necessary. I want to tell audience that change is necessary. It says this place that I go to says, change I must or die I will. So if you don't change, even out there on the streets, if you don't change even in increasing education, if you don't change even in increasing the workforce, if you don't change even in getting the opportunities, period, just to have an opportunity, either I want to do this or either I want to do that, and then have the person that's backing you and supporting your opportunities, and then providing even more opportunities on top of that, where would you be? What would life be worth living for? Come on, Paul.
Right. And I always say, I love to use the example of Lower Merion School District because it's so close geographically to Philly. I remember I was at a protest in the summer where we walked from SLA Bieber Middle School in West Philly to Lower Merion, and like walking, it took like we marched, it took like an hour, but if you were to drive that, it's close. And I love that example because it's like you're on a different planet. So this is Lower Merion's one of the most well-funded districts, I think, in the state, not lacking for everything. And then the surrounding community, you know what I mean? So it's no mystery that in Lower Merion, they're not dealing with the gun violence that we're dealing with. It's not because they're better people. It's just they have opportunities. Like if people have
Yes.
if people have the basics, good paying job, good
Mm-hmm.
schools, good housing, that's the fundamentals of a safe community. And it really is kind of that simple in a sense. And that's what we can never tackle this problem of gun violence truly until we make those kinds of investments for people to have these same kind of opportunities.
I agree with that. And to add to that, because I'm a therapist by trade. That's like my number one love bug, other than writing books and stuff like that, because I just like to write. And even in the treatment room, we always attack clients' basic needs first.
Right.
Because and without the basic needs, their mental stability is second. After their basic needs, their mental stability, and then we go on to talk about education and experiences and things of that nature. And all of it ties in together as to all a community issue. But with I don't even want to tackle the gun balance, because later on this month we'll be doing some big stuff, like at the end of the month, regarding gun balance. Like we'll be talking about that in depth on WURD. So I can put that out there right now. WURD Radio 96.1 FM and 900 AM radio. It's your girl off the Doc B is your host. We'll be bringing it to the table, and we will be addressing some of these things with Paul Prescod and some other people that are coming on. But primarily, we will be discussing anything that anyone has overcome, conquered, or challenged, or survived, and is now living beyond their dreams. And I can't wait until they are able to literally hear the breakdown of your story, because you tell us bits and pieces of it when we're on here, and this is the platform to do actually that. Anything else, Richard, that you could think of why you are why you support Paul so much? Anything that you can think of that we've left out, or anything that you'd like to add in the first half hour?
I would just have to reiterate the fact that May 17th is very, very important.
Right.
We got to get this young man to the state house for our future, our kids, our labor, the working class. It needs some help. This brother has a track record of helping working class people, working families. He's always been there for working class people. And the fact that he's a teacher, it really has a soft spot in my heart, because to me, I think teaching is one of the hardest jobs, but it also, people don't really put the right amount of value on that job, because you're talking about shaping young people's minds, educating them for the future. And you throw the fact that he's a union activist, a worker. To me, this is a personal endorsement and a professional endorsement. I love this brother with all my heart. I know he's going to do great things for us in this state. I'm looking forward to it, because I think we need it. Like you said, change is good. Change is necessary. And a lot of people want to talk about age and youth, but people got to remember Martin Luther King was about 25 years old.
Wasn't
when
he
he
young?
first started, right?
Yeah.
With the Montgomery boycott and all the things that he did, 39 years old, and when he passed away. So you're talking about 15 years of changing not just the South, but the whole entire country.
The whole
and
world.
so I think this brother has that ability to do that. We're going to stand behind him. We're going to stand with him. And I just hope that everybody gets out to the polls. Make sure you vote. May 17th. Paul Prescod, state senator. Please.
And let me tell you a little story.
Go ahead.
And sorry to bring up a painful memory, Rich, but if you think, sitting there thinking your vote doesn't count, when Rich first ran for office in his union, he lost that election by 37 votes. 37
OMG.
votes.
Yeah.
OMG. But you didn't quit.
Right.
No, you can't quit, right, man. And that's why this is so important to me, man, because when we won our election, we took out a long tenured, ideology, and a person who's been in a group that's been there for almost 20 years. And
Uh-huh.
this situation is similar. I don't know much about Mr. Williams, so I'm not I just don't know the guy. But the one thing that does bother me is the fact that I don't know him, and the other thing is this whole education piece about privatization of schools and taking money out of schools. That bothers me in a whole, because I'm a father first
Right.
before I'm Richard Hooker, the Teamster. Man, because I remember looking at the sister Ketanji Brown Jackson,
Uh-huh.
all that education, all that, and they still try to drag her through the mud, all that education. What
Mhm.
happens when little girls can't get that education? What happens when we take funding away from that? It's a
Yeah.
problem. And I got a
Yeah.
problem with that. I got a
Mm-hmm.
big problem with that. So, and I know Paul's going to be there to help us organize Amazon and all these other big companies, because again, the unions are the military wing of the working class.
So
And
Amazon got Teamsters?
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. We're working on it, but we need Paul. We need Paul to help us out, man.
Oh, I see. I
Okay.
see.
Yeah,
I don't know if you heard in the news. I think 2 weeks ago, the first Amazon plant got a union in
Got a
Staten
union. I
Island.
did. I saw that, but I
Right.
was wondering if it was Teamsters.
Not Teamsters, but it was a different independent union. But Teamsters are looking at it, and that was the first in the whole country of Amazon. So
Nice.
but it's going to be an uphill fight. I mean, this is a company that has unlimited resources to fight back. So but that's why we need all the kind of leverage, not just from the unions, but politically too. To
Yeah.
win that fight. But again, in Rich's first election, I'm sure there were people who could have voted and said, whatever. And again, 37 votes.
Uh-huh.
So we
yep,
don't want that to
yep,
happen in this race. Every
I
vote
think that
counts.
is so dope to have that, like, that commonality.
yeah,
Like you had that experience, and now Paul's having this experience, the very same experience. And there's nothing like that type of support,
Right.
because not only in elections, but in Teamsters and politics and the therapy room and SEPTA, as you mentioned earlier, and all of that, without support, there.
Oh
uh
no,
oh,
she cut off.
yeah, hope she comes back.
Oh man, looks like we're the host now.
Yeah, wow, yeah, she got to come back. I know that was unexpected right there.
Um,
So yeah, Paul, we got to get you elected, man. We're gonna keep it going, man. We got to get you elected. May 17th, Paul Prescod, go to your polling place. If you don't know where your polling place is at, look it up. Was it pavote.com or something like that?
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
There's
Look,
also
look.
mail-in ballots are coming soon. You probably got an application in the mail. So that's a very easy way to vote as well. And one thing I wanted to say while she was on, but thinking about young people in the future, there's data now showing that people essentially of my generation doing things like getting married a lot later, having kids later, not owning homes. And the big reason is economic. It's not that people don't want to do these things, but the economy, the way it's set up now, makes it very hard to be able to have a family or to own a home.
Right, right.
And having a union job could be that difference. And I would argue if there were more union jobs, it could be like it was when more people were doing those things. Don't worry, we didn't mention. Don't worry.
Absolutely, you're right. You're
I
right.
love it. Y'all kept it moving. I love it. And we got more viewers now than we had before I left. That was all right. The
Ah,
power went. I don't know what
Oh,
happened. It shut me right completely off, but we've been having that issue from the rain yesterday.
okay.
okay.
So what were you guys talking about when I was gone?
Well, I was just saying, there's data now showing that younger people, millennial people, essentially of my generation, on average, are having kids later or less, not owning homes as much, getting married later, and the main reason is economic. It's not that people usually don't want to do these things, but the way the economy is set up makes that very hard. And I would argue perhaps the most important factor has been the decline of union jobs. It makes it a lot harder. This is the whole, I mean, it's the stereotypical American dream, which of course, was not available to many people. But, the whole thing was like you could come out of high school, get a good union job, be able to have a family, buy a home, and so many people of that generation were not necessarily college educated. They just had union jobs. And as that has declined, that's where you're seeing now younger people having a harder time starting family, getting a home. And that's why I think this question of jobs is it really is just fundamental. And I remember when I got my union job, I mean, just the difference it made of like, wow, I can go to the dentist and not have to pay anything because of my benefits. I can start saving and planning ahead. It literally changes lives. And I think that we got to solve that issue. And I always say there's no shortage of jobs to be done. I mean, if you drive in Philly for 5 minutes, it's like an obstacle course, just avoiding the potholes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And our infrastructure and our transit system. So all these jobs are there to be had if we make the investment in doing them. Thinking about the future, we want to shift to clean energy. That's tons of jobs doing that. We got to make sure we're creating the jobs in the first place and making sure that they are actually good paying jobs. And that could change, I mean, a whole generation's future if we're able to do that. And that's what happened, I think, previously in history was when unions grew, that changed the whole generation.
Nice. You guys heard it. Y'all heard it from Paul. Y'all better get on out there and vote now. Now, off the Doc B done told you what to do. If you are in that 8th district, get out on May 17th and vote for Paul Prescod. Okay? Because Anthony, you can't say this, Paul, but I can talk about him all I want. Anthony has been in office for too long. It's been handed down. No constituents, no people to run up. I used that in the right context that time, didn't I? Nobody to run up against him. It's just been, okay, well, your father was, so here, you just take it too. So come on, people. Change is good. We have to make a change, okay? Now, you heard it from your girl off the Doc B. Don't have me come out there to West Philly.
And just so people know, when we say the 8th Senate District, that if you live in West Philadelphia, especially Southwest Philly, you are in the 8th Senate District. Some areas of South Philly, like Point Breeze, Girard Estates, even in Delaware County, if there's people here in Yeadon, Darby, Collingdale, Fallcroft, Colwyn, that's all the 8th District. So that's, if you are in that area, you can vote in this race. So
that's really good. So, Richard, could you get me a union job? Not you, Paul. I'm talking to Richard. I need a union job, Richard.
I got you. You come on down, man. We'll make it happen.
Paul trying to
good wages, benefits.
Paul trying to get me on his campaign.
Yeah. Hey, listen, he got a good campaign, man. I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, listen, he may can take you to Harrisburg with him.
His team is red hot.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too.
We praying that the people go out and vote for him, get him elected, and let's turn this thing around for the working class, for the public school system that so desperately needs help. And I think this pandemic really exposed a lot of things about the school system. It exposed a lot of things with the working class. And again, I think Paul being involved in that, he saw the effect of COVID having on education, the schools. He saw the effect and the dependency of America and this country on the working class people. So, you got somebody who has experienced it and knows all about it. So I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you so much for that comment. So there was one thing, Paul, that I did have, and Richard, you can stick around because I want you to give some closing comments in a few minutes. But I'm going to get to off the unions for a few minutes. There was one thing I wrote here about because you mentioned COVID and it made me look at this paper. So during COVID, Richard, Paul, there were small businesses that suffered. And a lot of them actually disappeared. Like we don't see them. And like a lot of them, like this one person that recently came to me and had a contract with the school district. And once the school district said everybody go home and that's it, he could no longer go into the schools to do what he was contracted to do. So his business kind of just went to pieces. He went into like this dark place at the same time. I'm just going to leave the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm trying to encourage him, like, no, stay, because other opportunities are on a rise. We all know that COVID changed the trajectory of a lot of businesses.
Right.
What would you say that Paul Prescod stands for, and how would you help a small business like that person who was kind of like a one-man business? He was like a entrepreneur, CEO and founder of a company that was contracted with the school district. How would you per se help that person? And then there's another comment. Somebody in here says, so Paul got a lot of connects, huh? So you know they looking for jobs. They on here. You know they on here, the people jobs and stuff. So, but go ahead. How would you do?
Yeah. And I would say, first, just generally, like the priority should be on helping out those kinds of small businesses, as opposed to what's happening now, which is all the resources going into helping like Comcast and Amazon and the natural gas, the really big $1 billion that don't really need this help. The priority should be going to ordinary people who have a small business. And this, takes many forms. Like a lot of them rely on loans and grants, especially during times like this. I mean, I know there was a federal program of loans that were supposed to go out to small business, but that's something that the state government can and should do as well. And again, putting the priority of saying, like, we shouldn't be giving Comcast tax breaks and then we're losing money that the state could be using to help small businesses that really need it. And that's why I often talk a lot about changing the tax structure, because it always comes down to where will you get the money to do these things. And my argument is there's a lot of money in the state. The problem is it's going right to the very top. And the more we let that happen, the less we have for small businesses, the less we have for schools, for infrastructure, and things like that. But that should really be the focus. And I think right now the priority is always given to the biggest, most wealthiest businesses, which is not the same category, as a small business.
Thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And so my mom used to say something like this: the rich get richer. Remember that? The rich get richer, the poor get poor, like, and stuff like that, And so when I think of that person who had the business, I'm like, man, I just wish it was something that, I could do to help him get restarted again, to spark that fire again. And so that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast and got on WURD radio, because I address everyday people. Everyday people and their issues. And I think you do too, Paul.
That's what I hope to do.
I think we have that in common,
Right.
I'm appreciating that. So what else is left for Paul to do? It's like a short 4 weeks or 3.5, right. And we on the countdown. Woo! Countdown.
4 weeks.
What else is there left for Paul to do? Tell the people. I'm ready to be boots on the ground, knocking everything, getting the people out.
So knocking doors like crazy. We also, we're calling voters, also encouraging people to get their mail-in ballots in, as that makes it easier once we know those votes are out. Election day itself, covering all the polling places, and doing things like this. I mean, getting on as many shows as possible to get the message out. And fundraising is big too. I can't run a campaign without money, unfortunately. So we are always fundraising, and if you're someone out there, you like the message, on paulprescod.com is where you can go make a donation and also just learn more about the campaign. But these elections cost money. I have a staff. I can't be a hypocrite up here talking about good jobs and paying my staff minimum wage. So we got to make sure they make good money, and for the work that they do. So that's what your money goes towards. before I ran for office, I thought when you raise money, it just goes to like T-shirts and stuff like that. But actually, this is how we pay staff. This is how we pay rent on our office. So like, it really is fundamental to having any campaign. So anyone can make a contribution, that would be really appreciated.
I'm gonna give you a bake sale and a fish fry. That's how we do it, don't we, Richard?
That's how we do.
We be getting that bread up, honey. We
Yep.
gonna give Paul Prescod a card game with some spaghetti stuff and everything, and we gonna give him a card game, and we gonna get that bake.
I'm gonna follow with you about that. So,
huh?
I am gonna follow with you about that. So.
All right, listen. My Aunt Dolores makes the best cakes.
All right.
And she can make you give you a bake sale that man, you'll have the people lined up for the cakes. They be like, she'll put a P on the top of the cake. P and P. That means you got to vote for him. I'm so serious. We are so talented. We really are. As many talented people out there, Paul. So, do you have any last remarks, Mr. Richard? I know you're gonna say May 17th. I already put that in the chat too.
May 17th. Please get out to your polling place. If you don't know where your polling place is, you can look it up online at pavoter.com. I believe it is. Even if you're not in the 8th district, and you know someone who is, please tell your friends in the 8th district to go out and vote for Paul Prescod for state senate. It's very, very important. Change is good. Change is necessary. And we don't want to be one of those communities that says, well, what if? What if? No, let's make sure that we can turn that what if to we did it.
Yes.
We made that change. We got it right.
Yes.
So and that's what we need to do. Again, we're going to support this brother. He knows he has our 1,000% support. We're going to have some members out there to help him throughout this campaign. We've already done that, but we're going to continue to do that because we are serious about this. And I think everybody in that district needs to be serious as well. Nothing against the incumbent. I don't believe in tearing anybody down, but I do believe that, sometimes stagnation kicks in, and, we need a generational change. And that's what we need.
We're not tearing them down, Richard. We're not tearing them down. We're just speaking the truth, brother.
Yeah. I hear you. I do whatever I can to stay from that.
Don't mess with Doc B and her bringing it to the table.
Yeah, but I just want people to come out and vote. I really do. I think it's very, very important to get people out there to these polling places to vote. This is one of those things where you can no longer talk about it. Stand on the sidelines. Oh, well, nothing's going to change. Well, that attitude, nothing will. So we got to make sure that we get that change. Get Paul Prescod elected for the 8th district, Pennsylvania, state senator. Paul Prescod, union activist, school teacher,
educated,
union activist, and a good man.
Yeah. Well, there it is, folks. You heard it right here on Bring It to the Table with Author Doc B. Y'all heard what Richard said. Y'all better get out there. Y'all want them union jobs? Richard said he can help y'all. Paul Prescott said he for the people. Now y'all get on out there and do the right things for the right reasons. Paul, any final remarks?
Well, thanks, Rich, for coming on here. It's always great to be with you. Look forward to working with you again, regardless of what happens in the election. I'm still going to be out there on any picking line. And I would just encourage people, like Rich said, don't sit this one out. Do all you can to get involved, because it really is. And I'm sure, politicians will say this every election, but it's really, to me, gotten to a crisis point. And when I knock on doors so often, especially with older folks, I always keep hearing like they've never seen things this bad. Like gun violence, nothing new to Philadelphia, sadly, but they've never seen it this bad. Schools, have been struggling for a while, but they've never seen it this bad. So I think it really, to me, feels like a crossroads of like, we cannot just keep going down this road, because I don't know where that's going to lead. So we need like a really big shift in direction. So, I would encourage people to think about that and about what this election could mean.
There it is. You heard it, folks. It's your girl, Author Doc B. Bring it to the table. And Paul and Richard just drop some jewels. Get out and vote May 17th, District 8, State Representative, State Senate. Get it done. Let's get the job done. Until next time, people, we'll see you next Tuesday. Real quick before you get off, you got who you want to bring next week? Did you think about it yet?
Oh, I'm going to think about it. I'll get back to you.
All right, damn, it's going to be a surprise. So
Right.
you guys make sure you tune in next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Thank you all. God bless and peace.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Richard.